Okay.
Me and you, girl, we on the struggle bus. I know. I don't drink caffeine. Okay, so homework for 5 and 6 is due tomorrow at midnight. The test for 5 and 6 is due Wednesday when the hub closes. And remember, you must show up at least an hour before they close or they will kick you out. So here is today. Homework for 5 and 6 is due tomorrow at midnight, and the test for 5 and 6 is due Wednesday at hub closing. 2 people have taken the test. They both made A's. So hopefully that is a good indication for the rest of y'all. Fingers crossed. Okay? Just to kind of give you an idea of what's left. Hopefully this week and part of next week we'll do 7 and 8. And then we'll spend the other week and a half doing 9 and 10. And then the last week we should review for the exam and take your final exam. So y'all, this is it. This is the rest of the semester. And then what's left? These first 2 things are going to be knocked off in the next couple of days. Your 5 and 6 homework and your 5 and 6 test. Due Tuesday, due Wednesday. Then we'll have the 7 and 8 homework and the 7 and 8 test. Then your 9 and 10 homework, we do not have a 9 and 10 test. Your final exam is going to be on chapters 1 through 10. So you will not have a test on 9 and 10. 9 and 10 will just be included in 1 through 10. We cool? All right. And then off to the side, I listed for 7 and 8, you're only going to have 4 sections. 2 sections from 7 and 2 sections from 8. And then for 9 and 10, you're going to have 2 sections from 9 and 3 sections from 10 as far as the homework is concerned. Now, I did have a couple of people ask me to do some homework problems, so I'm going to go over those first before we start chapter 7. Let's see, the first one was 5.5, number 10. So let me find that one. It keeps me out of desire to learn, so I'm going to try to get back in. Let's see if we can get back in the groove. Go here and see if this one will let me back in. Alright, so I'm going to go to my homework, just so that we can go through and check the answers. But your homework is going to look exactly like mine, just different numbers. Similar problem. So let's go into 120. Let's go, come on, content. We're going to do chapter 5, what do we say, 5.5, number 10? Number 10. And make it any bigger before I hold it over. Come here, grab that, come over here. It still didn't make it that big. Let me see if I can pull it in. All right, the grade appeal process at a university requires that a jury be structured by selecting 7 individuals randomly from a pool of 7 students and 13 faculty. So I'm picking a jury, 7 students, 13 faculty. What is the probability of selecting a jury of all students? Okay, so we want all students. We did one like this, almost identical to this. 755. All right, we have a question. Is this a combination or a permutation? Does order matter? Yes or no?
No.
Order does not matter. So which one are we going to use? We're going to use a combination. So this is going to be a combination problem. So we want all students. So all students, let me move this over, all students, no faculty. All students, no faculty. So how would we choose all students, no faculty? What is the probability of selecting a jury of all students? Structure by selecting 7 individuals randomly from a pool of 7 students and 13 faculty. What is the process? Selecting 7 individuals. So, how many are we picking for the jury?
7.
We're picking 7. And we want all 7 to be students. So we're picking 7 of the 7 students, correct? And we're picking none of the 13 faculty. So I'm picking 7 students out of the 7 students, and I'm picking no faculty of the 13 faculty. Now, on the bottom is what I'm picking out of everybody. So how many total people am I picking?
20.
How many am I picking?
7.
7 out of the total of?
20.
So I'm picking 7 out of the total of 20. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my answer on the top. So I'm going to do 7. Probability, NCR 7, oops, crap, 7 math, probability, NCR 7 times 13 math over to probability, NCR 0. So that's the answer to the top. And then I'm going to divide it by the 20 math probability NCR 7. Okay, when I get that answer, it has the e to the negative 5. That means we're going to move our decimal left, we're going to whoop whoop, left 5 times. And because it's negative, the negative means we're going to make it smaller. Had this been a positive, we would be making it bigger. So we're going to take that decimal and I'm going to move it 5 times to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to put zeros everywhere I don't have a number. So it's 0.000128998, blah, 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 blah. Now, this says round to 5 decimal places. So this is the 5th decimal place. And the 2 tells that to stay the same. So it's going to be 0.00001 because the 2 told the 1 to stay the same. Yay? Now, for part B, what is the probability that it is all faculty? So we have students, we have faculty, and we have total. So this time we're picking no students. So it would be what? 7 and 0. I'm picking no students of the 7. How many faculty am I picking? 13 NCR 7. And what's my bottom going to be? 7 and 20. So I'm picking 0 students of the 7 students. I'm picking 7 faculty of the 13 faculty. And I'm picking 7 total people out of the 20 total people. So if I come back, I'm going to do second enter and second enter. And I'm going to back that thing up. And that's 7 NCR 0 and 13. Let me insert a NCR. 7 NCR 0 and then 13 NCR 7. And then I'm going to divide that by...
Yeah, you have 7 and 7.
Thank you. 0. Ooh, let me start over. I'm trying to take a shortcut. 3, 0, times 13, math, probability, NCR, 7. Yay? 7, 0, 13, 7. Divided by, parentheses, 20, math, probability, NCR 7. Now, this part B does not have an E on the end, which means my answer is what it is. It still says round it to 5 decimal places. So to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places would be 0.02214. That would be the answer to part B. Part C says, what is the probability of selecting a jury of 3 students and 4 faculty? So this time we want 3 students and 4 faculty. Students, faculty, and total. 3 students, so 3 of the 7 students, 4 of the 13 faculty, and 7 of the 20 total. Are you good? So 3 students of the 7, 4 faculty of the 13, and 7 total. And you would just type that in your calculator and round it. Yay? That help? All right. Now, the next one I was asked to do is 6.2, number 5. And these will be in your notes so that if you need to go back and look. 6.2, number 5. So this is actually the last homework section. 6.2 that's due tomorrow. Number 5. We'll do similar. Okay. Let me snip. 6.2, number 5. Bigger. All right, 6.2, number 5 was when we, and I'll read it first before we talk about it. Suppose that a recent poll found that 55% of adults in a certain country believe that the overall state of moral values is poor. If a survey of a random sample of 45 adults in this country is conducted in which they are asked to disclose their feelings on the state of moral values, complete parts A through D. Find the probability that exactly 19. Find the probability that no more than 23. Find the probability that more than 22. This is where you had to memorize those rules. So I'm going to come down here. Oops, I didn't get part D. Let me go back and snag part D. I'm going to come and, because we're all still on position mentally, so I am going to come and write these rules down that you are going to have to memorize for your test. Memorize for test. Do you remember what it was if it was exactly a number? The PDF? And then we did 1 minus the bias CDF. And it was x minus 1 and, it's supposed to be an and, 1 minus the bias CDF. And then it was x minus 1 and the regular bias CDF. And then it was the regular bias CDF. And N is the sample size. P is your percent as a decimal. And X is the number of trials. So we first have to figure out, is it a greater than, equal to, less than, or equal to, or equal to? All of the less than or greater thans are going to be CDFs. And if it's an equal to, it's a PDF. And remember, these were in alphabetical order. NPX, they were in alphabetical order. N is your sample size, P is your percent as a decimal, and X is the number of trials. And remember that x minus 1 meant that if this was x is less than or equal to 20, we change that to a 19. Remember that? We're going to do several of these. So this was our cheat sheet, but you're going to have to be able to dump this on your test. You're going to have to memorize that for your test. I'll give you a chance to copy that if you need to. We talked about this last time, and it was easy to do as long as you know these rules. So, for the first rule, for the first problem, it says find the probability that it is exactly 19. So that means that x equals 19, which means we're going to use this rule. That's going to be our part A. So we're going to do the bio PDF. So we're going to do the bio PDF of N, P, and X. N represents the number of the sample size. What is our sample size?
45.
45. So our sample size is 45. P is our percent as a decimal. 0.55. And X is going to be our X from here, which is 19. So we go to our calculator. The way that we get to bio PDF is we do second bars. Second bars. Now, this isn't the normal, this is the bio. So I'm going to go second bars. Now, we're not doing normal CDF and PDF, we're going down and doing bio. And it's off the screen. There's our binomial PDF and CDF. So we're going to do the PDF because it's exactly. Now remember, according to your calculator, some of your calculators will say number of trials, put it in. P, put it in. X, put it in, and then paste. Mine, I have to type it in. So I'm going to do 45, comma, .55, comma, 19, close my parentheses. So for my first answer, it's going to say, give it to me as 4 decimal places. So it's going to be 0.0274 would be my first answer. We good? But you have to know that rule in order to know which one to do. Now, for the second one, the probability that no more than 23. If you have no more than $23 in your pocket, how much could you have? 23 or less. So no more than 23 means that you can have less than $23 or exactly $23. So for part B, we're going to be using this one. It's going to be the binomial CDF. So for part B, we're going to be doing the binomial CDF. What is my N? What is my sample size? 45. What is my P as a decimal? 0.55. And what is my X?
23.
23. Because we're using a different X because this is a different problem. So in my calculator, I'm going to do second, I can't do second enter because my last one was a PDF. I'm now doing a CDF. So I do second bars. I'm going to go down to binomial CDF.
You didn't press second.
I'm like, what's going on? Where is it? Second bars. There we go. All right, binomial CDF. There's my binomial CDF. 45 is my sample size, 0.55 is my P, and this time 23 is my X. They want me to round it to 4 decimal places again, which would be here. So my answer is going to be 0.3526. 0.3526. All right, part C. Find the probability that more than 22. More than 22. X and 22, what goes between them? The greater than. If you have more than $22 in your pocket, that means you can have $22 and a penny on up. You can't have 22, it's got to be bigger than 22. So for this one, part C, we're going to be using that one, which means you're going to have to do 1 minus the binomial CDF. So for part C, we will do 1 minus the binomial CDF. Our sample size is still the same. Our P is still the same. What is our X? 22. So when I go to my calculator, I'm going to do 1 minus the binomial CDF of 45, 0.55, 22. And if they say give it to me to 4 decimal places, make sure you round it correctly, 7506, 0.7506. And then finally, let me move this down a little bit so I can have a little bit of room for D. D says find the probability that 16 or 17. How would I do 16 or 17? Is it between 16 and 17? It is 16 or it's 17.
So you do equals on both of them and then add them?
So I would do x equals 16, and I would do x equals 7. I would do x equals 17, and because it's or, I would add them. Now, if it said between, that's something different, because then it could be $16.01, $16.26, $16.30. But it can only be 16, or it can be 17. So I'm going to do 16's answer, and I'm going to do 17's answer, and then I'm going to add them. Okay? So because it's an equal, that means I'm going to do the PDF. So I'm going to do the binomial PDF, 45, 0.55, and 16. And then I'm going to do the binomial PDF of 45, 0.55, and 17. And then once I get those two answers, I'm going to add them together. Or I can type in the whole thing and do binomial blah, 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 plus binomial blah, blah, blah. We good? Now, they didn't do one like this, but just to get it in your brain, let's do one that says, I have less than 30. Less than 30. With the same probability and the same sample size. How would you write less than 30? X minus 30. X less than 30, sorry. X less than 30, which means we would be using that one. So I'm going to do the binomial CDF. What would my N be? 45. What would my P be? 0.55. Now what would my X be?
Oh, 29.
My X is going to be 29, because if it's less than or if it's greater than or equal to, you've got to take your X and subtract 1 from it. Remember? So in your calculator, you would do the binomial CDF of 45, 0.55, and 29. We good? Is it all coming back? Sure it is. All right, there were 2 other problems, and then I'll open up and see if anybody else has any. This is 6.2, number 6. Number 6. According to a report, 77.8% of murders are committed with a firearm. If 400 murders are randomly selected, how many would we expect to be committed with a firearm?
Well, first of all, that sounds a load of crap.
I know. That is. What do y'all think? If 400 murders are shot, or 400 people are killed, and 77.8% of them you shoot, how many of those 400 should we expect to have been shot?
311.
How do we do that?
Oh, you multiply by the probability.
So tell me what I need to do.
400 times 0.778.
400, and really what he did was 77.8% of 400. You could do it as an is over of problem. He chose to do it as a multiplication problem, so he changed this to 0.778 times 400. Or you could have done it as an is over of. This is your percent. Of is 400. So I can either do the shortcut, which is to whoop whoop and multiply, or I don't have to whoop whoop because this is my whoop whoop. I can do 77.8 over 100 and do my cross multiplication. So just to show you that they're exactly the same. For the left side, it would be 0.778 times 400. And on the right, it would be 77.8 times 400 divided by 100. Now, nowhere